Hey everyone, I'm Juhi Singh, developer marketer at Freshworks. Today I'll be talking about understanding the developers with the developer marketing way. Before I start the talk, I would like to give some basic introduction about myself. Before joining Freshwork, I have worked with several developer communities. As a student developer, I have organized events, conducted meetups every month, and it's been a great journey serving for the community. Let's start. Before I go into the deep dive session, I really want to ask you all that how are you and how you all have been doing? And I'm hoping that you all are doing great and staying safe at your home, and happy Diwali to all of you. Now, before I go into the topic of understanding the developers, there is something called there is a role called DevRel and the developer marketing. Being a developer, you might have visited multiples of portals or joined communities. Have you ever wondered that what is the difference between the developer relation and the developer marketing? Are they the same role or there is any difference? So we have so many bunch of questions about the DevRels and the developer marketing. Even I had before I joined. Sharing my basic story with you. So when I interviewed for Freshwork, I actually applied for developer relation. And while the interview, I was told that there is something called developer marketing. And then we have these three things where you can join. And I choose to join developer marketing. But before that, I didn't have any idea about developer marketing, that even this role exists at all. So let's talk the difference between the developer relation and the developer marketing. So if you see, there is a two round, of course. One side is a developer relation, one side is a developer marketing. So if you see the developer relation part, basically it's more like the technical terms like writing sample apps, maintaining SDKs, tools, or hosting the office hours to help developers, collecting the feedbacks and making sure that we do implement all of those feedbacks which has been given by our developer, defend the feature request, ensure that developer content is ready, and develop whatever is delivering to developer is perfect, and there is no mistake in that. But if you see the other side of persona, which is the developer marketing, it's more or less like creating the whole plan about the developer. So it's basically building a developer marketing strategy, that how we are going to approach the developers, how we're going to engage them, and it includes like the whole idea that how you're going to serve your developer, creating go-to-market plans, work on outreach through social media channels, plan and execute the content marketing, email campaigns, and the blogs, which are like the main part of the developer marketing thing. Run developer rewards programs, so we can see more and more developer contributing into your community and the platform. Run developer early access program, host dev events, engage the community, and lots of stuff. So when I say the differentiation between the developer relation and the developer marketing, the very first question which all of you might ask me is that is there is an overlap between the developer relation and the developer marketing? Yeah, there is. So when we talk about the overlaps, you might see so many, not so many actually, few overlaps for the matrix, like the kind of matrix the developer relation look for, the kind of matrix developer marketing look for. And also we have some sort of overlaps with the jobs. If you take the example for the online community, you'll find developer relation over there answering your forum question, forum queries maybe, or you'll also see the developer marketing team hosting about like some reward programs or announcing the events which they're gonna do the next month and all those part. So the one thing which I can say about the developer marketing is it's more basically making sure that our developers are being engaged, they are feeling motivated to work with us. And if I talk about the developer relation thing, they take care of the technical parts, like creating the sample apps which can help the developers to build their own. But even though we have so many differences, tasks both of the roles does, but they both aim for the same thing, the aim. So what is the aim for them? Is the developer community. So if it's a developer relationship or a developer marketing, they both aim to serve the community. For them, the aim is to provide as much value uh, and the input and like the motivation to the developer community so we can grow. So even though we have a little bit differentiation between the both roles, we both aim for the same, and we both work together in area organization to serve the developer community. Moving forwards, let's come back to the main topic where we are here to talk about, which is the developer marketing. So it's marketing, right? Because the word it says marketing, but it's to the developers. So the focus is, of course, to encourage developers to learn, adopt, use, and contribute either to the platform or to the community. It could be anything, right? I have just used two words. It could differ for the different organizations. The usual way of marketing that otherwise work well in B2B or even B2C do not work here. This is like the new form of marketing known as B2D marketing or business to developer marketing. It's time to have the B2D conversation. Let's get started. So before we go, deep dive into the understanding of the developers, before that we also have to understand the developer persona, because it's different for different organization, is different for different companies. For taking an example, when I was working as a student, as a volunteer for different community in Chennai, those developer personas were different than I deal with today with the Freshworks. So let's take an example as a Flutter, which is obviously the product of Google. So generally, when we used to work for the Flutter community, we used to use that particular product, and if we like it, we used to evangelize or maybe advocate with the other developers. And the reason why we used to do this is because developer listen to the developers. You might see having more open to the links which has been shared by the developer to developer than the marketer to developer. So that was the one persona where I was dealing it before I joined Freshwork. But the moment when I joined Freshwork, things were different. Here, developer persona were different. It wasn't the same. We'll talk about that developer persona later in the presentation. But for now, ask yourself is that are your target developers actively deploying or integrating your solution without being managed by your teams? Or your target developers are like actively deploying and integrating your solution with the support of your teams? And these are the just the two categories, the two examples which I have added. There is more, like one is the Flutter, where you have the product and one developer use it, and then developer goes and evangelize and advocate to the some other developer, and then they form one local community, and then they work together. But here the thing is different. Let's talk about the different scenarios where I work currently. So if you see this slide, we have the businesses, we have the customization needs, we have the developers, and then we have a developer platform. But when we talk about the businesses, who are these people? They are the people who might have like a big organizations, a company. They use our products. So when they use our product, they might have some sort of customization needs, like doing integration with some other platform and the third party integration and all those kind of stuff. So at this place, the people who comes to the picture are the developer team who helps them provide their customization needs by deploying the apps or maybe doing the integration with the third party. And how they do it, like developers, how they do it. So we have the developer platform which helps these developers provide the customization needs to our customer and the businesses. You can use any the term, any terms which you are comfortable with. So talking about now, I am clear with the developer I'm gonna deal with. Like, so these are not the open developers. They are not someone random, like some young developers who are the freelance or anything. They are very limited, and the dedicated people who work for our platform to provide the customization needs. So here the developer persona where I have to deal and the Freshwork have to deal is the very limited and the very particular developer persona. It doesn't include everyone. So now I am clear with the developer persona. I know who are the developers who are going to build the customization for us. Now we should also understand the developer term in the journal, like in the general. So if you see, understanding your developer audience and segmenting them is really important to boost the performance of your marketing activities. Even though you might hear sometime that marketing doesn't even involve here. But what I believe is there is a bit of marketing, but not too much marketing like you do to the customer or to the businesses. To better understand, we can't approach developers using their traditional marketing. Developer marketing means thinking like a developers. This work will be bit easy for you when you have already lived a life as a developer, as I have. Being a student developer in my college life, I completed my undergraduation in the IT stream, so I have a bit of experience being developer, that what are the kind of thing every single developer go through. So we established earlier that the developer community hates being marketed. They are typically more knowledgeable and tech savvy than any other of customers and business leaders. So when we talk about the developers, definitely they are the pure techie. They read multiples of blogs, they go attend the conferences, and they just they are over the internet all the time. So definitely if you are marketing something, they are already aware of lots of tech and all the technical terms. Their approach is to educate themselves on the developer audience so well that they find a unique way to serve them and make their life better. So when we talk about marketing to the developer, instead of marketing we can use the term called education. We can call that we are trying to educate the developer instead of we are trying to market the developer, because that terms might lose their interest in learning about the product you are selling or the API you are trying to sell them or anything like that. Now, the one thing which we have to understand is who are the developers, what they do, and why they do. So far we have already seen that they are the highly technical audience and they hate marketing. They like the technique which are like very straightforward, frank talk from someone who knows the subject and at least understand what they are trying to convey to the developers by the email communication or by the video advertising or by the anything. They like the people who have the basic understanding of the things they are trying to uh, talk to them. So we know that they look for the content and they also look for the answers, because everybody does. Every developers look for the content until it's like very related and important to to them. Talking next, when we know this whole developer scenarios and everything, okay, developers hate marketing. We cannot bluff in front of them. We cannot talk too much which we are not even providing them, or we cannot even talk the things we have no idea. So it's important when you talk or when you email them or when you send them anything in the newsletter, you should also have the very basic understanding of what you're trying to say. Talking about all those things which we shouldn't do with the developers, talking about the things which might attract developers to use your platform or come and build app for us. Moving forwards, I would like to share some of the strategies which might work for you when you are trying to understand the developer and when you are dealing with the developer at the very beginning stage. So, how can you understand your developers? It's a big question. Conduct research and connect with developers to learn who they are, what they care about, and what they are building, because it's important. So there is a three thing which you can do while when you are dealing with the developers. Of course, support and forum. So just because you already have the support and forum, you can see what devs are telling you through the support forum events and social media channels, and then you can have all those data, and then you can use internally to come up with something about understanding of the developers. You can also do the analytics part where you can see that what your devs are and the platform uses from your own data sources like we have, right? And last but not the least is the research, where a proper documented survey is the perfect way to refine the audience. You can send the survey form asking about their interest and the kind of things which might excite them, and it totally depends on you what sort of question you want to ask them. So you can do with all these three or set of areas, you can collect all those details and then try to come up with your own assumption. We won't be calling the assumption. You might have the very clear picture of idea that which kind of developers you are dealing with, what are the things they may like and what are the things they may not. So it will make your work very easy for the future part when you'll be marketing to them. Now, talking about the Freshworks, we have the developers team. Of course, we provide the toolkits, we have the community, we have the UI kit, and then the monetized part. So, like I always say, that there is a different sort of persona for the developers, and they work for different organizations. When we talk about the Freshworks, we provide them toolkits, documentation, code recipes, and all those resources which can help them build the app to solve our customer problem. At the same time, they also get paid for the app they build for us. We also have the community where they can go and ask us any doubts regarding the development which they are doing, and then we have the people, we have the whole community helping them with answering all their queries. We also have our open source UI kit which we launched few months back for using the standardized design, so all the apps can have a very standard design when they are being deployed into our marketplace. Now, when we are very clear with the picture of understanding the developer persona, then understanding the developer, and then knowing what kind of things developer might like, now the engagement part becomes very easy because you are very clear with the developer persona you are dealing, you know your developer very well. So the sort of things which can really excite them is, of course, recognitions. You can recognize the community champions quarterly, monthly, it totally depends on you. Also, you can provide them right amount of source of code, like the resources which can help them to build, to send monthly newsletters which will have all the technical, the new feature updates which they might be looking for, and all these things which we do at Freshwork to make sure that our developers feel motivated and then they get what they ask for. So I think that's all. Thank you so much, and I am done here.
Thank you so much. So I wrote several questions on the private chat. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
So could you pick up the questions
Yeah,
that's suitable
sure.
for you?
So the first question is, of course, what is the differential between the traditional marketing and the developer marketing? So, like I mentioned in one of the slide, is when you deal with the customer or the business people, they might not have the very clear and so much technical knowledge. So when you sell some product or anything which your company has, this is bit easy than you try to sell it to developers, because developers already hate the word called marketing, the terms marketing itself. So when you are talking to a developer and when you use word called marketing, the conversation is done there itself. So it gets challenging when you market to developers, because whatever you are trying to market to them, there is everyone in this tech world, IT world. Every single day, people are reaching out to this developer, selling their product or maybe selling their features, APIs, and everything. So every single day, they are surrounded with all those kind of information and people coming and approaching them. So it gets tougher, a little bit challenging. So when you try to talk to them or when you try to sell them anything like the APIs or anything, you really have to have a very clear understanding of whatever you are selling to them. So it's a bit difficult. I won't say like there is a huge difference. Of course, there is a market where we call the content. Content is like the king of everything. So they do like the content. They like the engagement part, they like all those things, but the only thing is they hate the word which is like, so if I talk to them something and when they ask me something back and if I don't have answer, that might go really wrong. So that is the
Mm,
difference between the developer marketing and the traditional marketing.
uh-huh. I see. Thank you. And we have more time, so please pick up the questions and please answer it.
Okay, so do you update developer persona? If it's yes, how often update it? So actually, we don't update the developer persona. First of all, what do I mean by developer persona in the slide was that there is a different developer persona for different organizations. When you talk about the Google, when you talk about the Microsoft, or when you talk about like a Atlassian or Slack or like any other company, developer persona differs for each of them. When I talk about Freshwork, for us, developers are the one who help us build apps and deploy the integration with the third party to help us provide the right sort of customization needs for our customer. But in the terms of when I talk about Google and Microsoft, they have the product like Flutter, React JS, and all this. So they are the developer who use that particular product. And if they like it, of course, then they go and advocate it to some other developer, and then they build the local community, and then they work together with that particular product. But it's totally different in the case of Freshworks. Here, we don't, developers are not the one who use the product. They are the one who provides solution to our products which we have.
Mm, mm, mm.
And I think most developers don't like survey. Do you have any idea to get better answers? Okay. So that is something I also agree that most of developers don't like it, because generally we all have that assumption of seeing the survey form. Okay, this is gonna have tens of questions, like 10 to 20 questions and all those things. But alternative will be definitely going on the call with them, doing some interview with them, or maybe inviting them for the events. So when you invite them for the events, you can go and talk to them personally. That could be the alternative choice and the quality one to know your developer more. But in when we talk about this whole pandemic thing, like we cannot meet physically, and we also don't have so much time to schedule a call, right, with them to
Mm,
understand their needs. So having a quality of server, like I mentioned it very clearly, that a right documented, like the very well documented, which doesn't seem like so much to them, like maybe 5 to 6 questions, or with the quality questions, I think they don't mind filling that up.
mm. Which is a better, like selecting opinions or input the text?
Mm-hmm. I didn't get your question.
Which is a better question? Like it's a best, better, good, normal something, or writing something text. Which is a better question for developers?
Which is better question for developers, or maybe just a one line question, or maybe I
Mm,
want to know. So, okay, first question could be which kind of product you are working, and which kind of use case you are looking for, and the kind of solution which can help your product, provide solution to your product, like the very direct question. Like I cannot recall the very right question for them, but the direct question, like I said, they prefer very direct conversation with them. So having like a very direct question, whatever you want to ask, instead of moving around to the whole question, that will really help. And too much content
mm.
will definitely, too much question will definitely make them bored, and they might not fill it. So we should have point to point question, the point which we want to ask, we should put that over there, and then we can do that.
I see. Thank you, Juhi. Your experiences of marketing is very suitable for our audiences, I hope. So it's
Thank
very
you
good
so
presentation.
much. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Juhi, and thank you again, and
Yeah, and happy
have a good,
Diwali.
yeah, 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 have a
Okay,
good Diwali. Yeah, thank you
sure.
so
Bye
much.
bye.